Hello, and welcome back for another episode of Chatting Traders with Friends. However, unfortunately, I have no friends. I have no friends today. It's a long story. The original person that was supposed to work with me today wasn't able to. And then I had asked like three or four different people, two of which ended up in the hospital. It's a whole ordeal. So, little weird. I need to put my trader's hat on. I feel like I don't like the way I look. Oh, this is backwards for you guys probably, but I don't really love the way I look with like my hair. Comment if this looks stupid because I feel like I'm one of those people that doesn't look good in a ball cap. People that looks bad in a ball cap with my hair down. You know what I mean? Like I usually put in a ponytail. Anyways, so I'm gonna do this by myself. I'm not good at this, but I feel like this would also be really good practice for me because I ultimately would like to do something like this for like my Big Brother live feed updates, for other shows I'm gonna be watching. I do have some ideas in the works for House of Villains and Survivor. Stay tuned for more information on that. Um, I would like to get a little bit more practice doing long form content. It has been requested for some time. So, yeah, we'll see if I can do it. But let's just dive into the episode. I took a few notes. I feel like I'm going to be really bad at like remembering this cuz at the time I'm recording this, it's Sunday night am currently. Okay. It aired on Thursday. So, I didn't do a second rewatch. Normally I do a second rewatch, right? Have been tied up with like Love is Blind and like several other things that I'm preparing content for because this week, what do we have coming up? We have Survivor 50, we have House of Villains, we have so much. Pretty soon after that, we're going to be having Taylor Frankie Paul on The Bachelorette. So much. So, I've been like pre-filming several TikTok videos because I have a busy work week ahead as well. So, bear with me as I try and remember. Something just floated. Bear with me as I try to remember what I want to talk about. Okay. So we're talking about episode 10 of the Traitors. Uh when when breakfast happens, Mara walks in with Rob, okay? And I found this really interesting because she says she doesn't believe that Rob is a traitor. We see all these DR talking of her throughout the episode where she's like, I'm just gonna drop dead if Rob's a traitor. I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, girl, we already knew. We already knew that you were going to blindly follow that man. And that is like the point, right? That's the point of him wanting to take you to the end, I think. Um, so she trusts Rob. We get that confirmed that she trusts Rob. We didn't need it confirmed, but we get it confirmed. Next, we have Eric and Mark. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Then we see Rob DR talking, and Rob's like, hey, yeah, so I'm starting to feel bad. I'm starting to feel bad because she's DR talking about her trust in Rob, but she's also like talking to Rob about how much she trusts him. Rob is like, I'm starting to feel bad. This is all catching up to me. My traitorous behavior is catching up to me. I don't feel bad for him. You signed up for the show. Okay. Next we see Eric and Mark entering together, and Mara tells them that she doesn't trust Johnny or Natalie. This is interesting because where is this coming from? Left field feels, I don't trust like anybody but me. You know what I mean? Like I think that's where we're at. Nobody knows who the traitor is, and they're just like anybody but me. So um Mark then says, like, I'm torn. I'm torn on this. And then we see him DR talking, and he DR talks about how like he's nervous that Kristen is going to be the murderer that night because that's his last serious ally left in the castle. Tara then enters by herself, and she thinks that um Johnny's not coming. She's like, I'm really scared that it's gonna be Johnny. Like if it wasn't me, it must be Johnny. And I would agree, like that makes sense. That's probably what they should have done. So Johnny enters right after Tara by himself as well, and he proceeds to tell everyone about the Jack in the Box situation. So now everyone knows that happened. Um, Kristen is murdered. We find out Kristen is murdered because she doesn't come in to breakfast. What do you guys think of this? I don't know how I feel about the Kristen murder. I think it's fine. I think it's a solid option. I just really thought that they would go for either Johnny or Tara. I thought maybe if they did that, it would just, you know, break up that voting duo. I am hoping, and we'll get to this when I get to that part. I'm hoping that they choose to go for one of them at the next murder for the same reason. Like at this point they are proving, again, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but they are proving that two people constantly voting together is just it's like a showman's on Big Brother. You got to break it up. You got to break it up. We're too far into this game now for these two to be voting together, because it caused everyone at the round table to ultimately feel like they couldn't vote for Tara, that they had to vote for Natalie, and we'll get into that here in a bit. So they show us a little flashback once we find out Kristen's murdered and all that jazz. They show us a little flashback of the turret, like they always do, and Rob and Eric are talking about, how they came to their decision to murder Kristen. But what's most important about this to me is they talk about how at the round table they have to go after Natalie. They're like, hands down, Natalie's got to go at the round table. I didn't understand the logic behind this. Personally, I still don't understand it. I get that, like, yes, she ultimately was starting to say Rob's name and everything, but like at that point in time when that was shot, the turret prior to the murder, to me, if you're gonna murder Kristen, to me, your choice at that round table should be still proceeding with the idea that it's probably one of these two in this duo. That was a big theme on the last episode. I don't understand it. But again, if you guys have a better analysis of this in the comments, let me know. I don't get it. After breakfast, Tara, we see her DR talking. I've had a chance to sleep on this, and I've decided it ain't Natalie. And this is like the fifth time that she has went back and forth. So like it didn't matter to me, right? Um then she goes to Natalie and she's like, "Yeah, I don't think it's you, but you know who it could be? Rob. It could be Rob. It might be Rob." That's possible. That's possible. Natalie reminds her that Rob has two daggers. This is important. And I think this ultimately what played the biggest role. Yeah, he has his two daggers. It's the last week to use it. But what they're not realizing, could have at least tied the vote, if not overcame the vote, depending on who they were able to bring over. Because let's see, we have 2, 3. They could have done it. Oh, Mark, no, sorry, vote for Rob, obviously. Um, Natalie could vote for, if Natalie votes out Rob, Eric, Johnny votes out Rob, Tara votes out Rob, Mark votes out Rob. You got 4 against 2. Who's left over? You have Mara left. Mara probably not voting for Rob, but you would still have Tara, Johnny, and Natalie. Even with Rob's extra vote, and has 2 votes, that's 4 on 4, it's a tie. Let it go to a tie. Even if you can't swing Mara, let it go to a tie. See what happens. I don't know how a tie would work with the dagger. I don't. It could be like Survivor where it just gets flushed and they go into a revote. I mean, we've seen on the Traitors before when it goes to a tie, it's supposed to just go into a revote. Um yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it would go into a revote only utilizing those 2 people, right? Like, okay, we're going to a revote and you can only vote for Rob or uh who was the other person? I don't know. Say Mara and Eric and Rob decide that they're gonna vote for Tara. You can only vote for Rob and Tara. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how the revote would work, but I just know that why not try? Why not give it a try? But then again, to put myself back in the shoes of these faithfuls, they're probably like, let's just guarantee Natalie goes. Also, it kind of sucks because it felt to me, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but it felt to me, it keeps losing connection. It felt to me like they were like just trying to flush another faithful out. They knew it wasn't Natalie. And to me, that's silly. This late in the game, they needed to get a traitor at that final um episode, and they only have one more roundtable left. So, anyways, back to the after breakfast antics. Um, so Natalie has reminded Tara that Rob has his two votes, and that we again, based on what I just said, it ultimately we see that play out not in Natalie's favor, right? Um, Mark thinks that Eric is a traitor. At this point, he is saying it to Rob multiple times that he is sussing out Eric because of the Kristen murder. He feels, and this is smart, that since Kristen was murdered immediately after saying Eric's name, that's all they have to go on right now. And he's right. If Rob's ultimate goal is to rock with his boy Eric, I don't know why they murdered Kristen. To me, I was fully expecting to roll into this episode with Rob being like, "We'll see how it goes, but at least it ain't me. At least the sus is off of me." But that's not what he went into this episode saying. He went into this episode saying like, "So I'm gonna protect my boy." Well, if you were trying to protect your boy so much, why'd you do that? Huh? You don't have an answer. 'Cause you're not that good at this. I am really disappointed. Like, I had him at the top of my list, but, like, I still haven't done my power ranking list yet because, like, I'm not sure that I can leave him at the top anymore. Honestly, but then I'm like, if I take him off the top, who Imma put at the top? Who? Realistically, I can't put Natalie up there. Mark Ballas, maybe? Not Eric. Oh my god, I might have to put Eric at the top now that I think about it. I might have to. Oh my god, I might have to because realistically, like, are they gonna come for Eric? Probably not. The only person that's worried about this is Mark because Mark is the only one that knows that Kristen said. Mark needs to spread the word about the Kristen thing on this next episode. I hope he does. Oh, I hope he does. Okay. Anyway, because like, just imagine Eric wins by himself. Just imagine. Just imagine Eric wins by himself after having bad reads all season and then coincidentally becoming a I I can't. I can't. I can't. Okay. So, Mark is panicking in the after breakfast moments. You know, he's sussing out Eric, but he also is panicking a little bit. You know, he walks up uh to Rob and he's like, "It's not me. Is it you? Because like what the hell? Like obviously I have bad reads. Like all my people are getting murdered. Like what is going on?" And a lot of people online are saying that Rob said in that moment, he said something like yes. I think the word was yes that he said, and it kind of sounds like he's admitting to him that he's a traitor. Let me be so for real with you. That's against the rules. He can't confirm that. I don't think him saying yes was intentionally him like tipping Mark off. That's not what happened. I think it was just like Mark was just kind of like panicking and saying a bunch of stuff, and Eric's like, yeah, 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 like yes, yes, but like no, I'm not a traitor. I think that's all that was. I don't think there's anything to read into that. Just like get that out of your mind. It's not a big deal. Um, Rob Dr. talks at this point, and he's saying that he has Eric's back. And this is where I'm like, I Dios mia. Like what? I don't get it, dude. You can't win with Eric. At this point, one of you needs to go at the next roundtable, I think. I personally think that. I I understand the people that are saying like, well, for numbers purposes, it would be good to have two traitors at the fire. Sure. However, with given the people that we have, and I also understand if like what they're saying is that like if Johnny and Tara have two votes, then you also need to have two to combat that. No, murder them. Duh. Murder either Johnny or Tara. To me, what that would look like and what the story that I would paint around the castle is, oh, well, say you murder Tara, or say you murdered Johnny. Tara kept Johnny safe. Natalie might have been onto something. Tara kept Johnny safe as long as she could because they're besties and they want to play together, but she had to get rid of him to keep the sus off of her. Then you can be sure that if she's not banished at the next round table, she goes out at the next fire. I just think, you know, as a trader, I feel like I'm risking actually too much by taking another trader with me to the fire ceremony, even Eric. Um, Suri Fields was able to infamously get out Ari at the fire, but that's just like not really how it has happened since. So I wouldn't count on it. And I just think the numbers game to me leans in a better direction of me going to fire with three other people and at least one of those three wholeheartedly believing I'm faithful. For Rob, that's Mara. There are a lot of people on the internet saying, oh, Mara should be the next murder, and they think that if Mara is the next murder, Rob deserves not to win, honestly. Like, that is such a dumb decision. Mara wholeheartedly believes in him. It is not worth the risk of taking the sus off of you by murdering her. To me, it is not worth the risk. It is not worth the risk. You have Mark believing in you. You have Mara believing in you. Take those two people to the fire. Make sure at the next banishment, Eric goes home. These two people are going to believe you. Take Johnny or Tara, whichever, with you to the fire ceremony. At the fire ceremony, guess what? Mara and Rob are going to agree to split the money with you, Rob, because last season we had three people win. Only one traitor has to be sussed out, is I think what the mindset's going to be. That's just my 2 cents. That's just my opinion. In the comments, you tell me if you think I'm wrong, if you think I'm right. Okay, where was I? So yeah, so excuse me, Mark is just panicking. Rob DR talks that, he has to have Eric's back. I already said that. Mark says that Natalie is the last gamer left. This is important. When that happened, to me, in my mind, I was like, shit, they are going to try to go after Natalie at the round table. And hey, I get it. I get it. Every single gamer has went out as a um murder, and Natalie's little statement that she made in the first episode, hey, I'm a faithful all fables if you see me going, like, I actually thought that was working in her favor until now, until there was no other gamers left. And I think ultimately people have to like think of the gamers. Eventually they have to suss one out, and Natalie happened to be the last one left. So um the girls, so we have like the guys chatting and the girls chatting. We have um Johnny, Mark, and Eric chatting, and then we have Natalie, Tara, and Mara chatting. The girls are saying like Natalie and Tara bring up to Mara, so they're talking about the Rob thing, right? And then Mara joins. They bring up to Mara the idea of Rob being a traitor. And Mara's like, no, I'll just drop dead right now. Not possible. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. So then they get in the car. And at the point that they get in the car, we see conversations between the guys. I didn't think it was that important to mention it right now. But when we get to the cars, I will say this. I think at that point, the only person that wasn't willing to potentially vote for Rob or potentially believe that Rob may be a traitor is Mark Ballas, and Mara, of course. That's it. And I don't think Mark couldn't be swayed. We've seen him be swayed at the round. He is willing to vote with the masses if he needs to because he does understand that it's a numbers game. So we get to the challenge. Carousel spinning? I don't think so. Count me out. Also, what possible medical condition? Like, I don't mean to like suspect on medical conditions, but let me just say this. Tara is a figure skater. She has spun. Okay. So, what medical condition now would cause her not to be able to spin? Migraines? Do you just develop epilepsy out of nowhere? Like, what could it be? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But that did get my gears turning because I was like, you used to spin a lot. So, like, what? Eric, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I will say this, even with them having those dummies that they had to go after, I do still think that it was a clear advantage. Clear advantage in that competition. You weren't dizzy, right? Like when I think about like me being dizzy like that, like I low key would be vomiting. And I don't know if they considered that like, oh, if you're not able, I just like, oops. I don't know if they considered that like, oh, we don't want you vomiting. If you're prone to vomiting, we're not gonna make you do this. But like, I don't know. I just felt like I'm not saying Eric didn't win fair and square, but like it felt like a clear advantage. Okay. Yes, you had to still do your little, but like you weren't dizzy. You weren't sickly. You weren't spinning. All I'm going to say on that. So Alan says to them when this starts, I went back and rewatched this one part. I didn't want to watch the whole episode, but I did rewatch this one part. Alan does say to them, the last person left on the carousel wins a shield. I don't understand why they were shocked that a chair was removed and Rob couldn't get on the carousel. Also, typically on shows like this, they don't start until everyone understands how it works. For fairness, that should be how it goes, anyways. I didn't like that people were surprised by this element. I didn't like that. Me personally, I didn't like it. But also like Alan did say that, so I don't know if they like I don't know. On shows like Survivor and stuff like they make sure everyone understands the rules before anyone ever starts the competition. Just a little weird to me. When Rob comes back, he's shocked about the chair. He starts rolling his eyes. He starts rolling his eyes. And I think part of this is performative a little bit. But I also think genuinely he needed to win. Either him or Eric needed to win this because they can't afford, like, for example, Eric winning. So ultimately, Eric wins the competition, right? Eric winning is so good for him because one of my lights just went out. Eric winning is so good for him because now at the next murder, it's not going to be sus that he comes back, right? Rob already is coming back, already has some sus on him. Eh, you know, I just think it's best case scenario this late in the game. If you are a trader, you do kind of want to have a shield so that it's like guaranteed you're coming back and there's no questions on it, right? And that's what happens. Eric wins the shield, but whenever Rob came back, he was rolling his eyes and all that happened. And there are different people saying like it felt performative. It felt like, that was different. Him acting like that was different than their past experience with him. I don't know. I think it's just like confirmation bias in some ways because Natalie was already like thinking that it was him. I think that Mark Ballas things were directed at him, so that wasn't helpful and like you need Mark, right? You need Mark. He is on your side. You need him going into this round table in case the sus is on to you. You don't want to give up Mark as an ally because Mark doesn't have any other allies, right? Okay, so now we're at dinner and Natalie's going hard for Rob. She really believes him to be a traitor and she's going hard for him. Good for you. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but good for you. Um she thought that Rob might be her traitor angel. Good assessment. I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that Rob was your traitor angel. I don't know that he was specifically protecting you individually, more so protecting the people that were not sussing him. And he had his little dagger alliance. Well, the dagger alliance is coming to an end, so valid assessment, but I think that that wasn't necessarily. I think it was incidental. So Mark does say that he noticed the performance. He did notice Rob acting differently. I don't think that he's sussing him, but he does mention that. And uh, unfortunately, they try and go and get Eric's vote, and I'm like, damn it. Uh, so at that point, they go and get Eric's vote, and I think that, like, obviously Eric told Rob, and so, like, the Rob thing, when they went to go get Eric's vote, I was like, shit, the Rob thing's not gonna happen, right? It's just not gonna happen. Um, so now we get to the round table, and basically we know going into the round table, it's either going to be Natalie or it's going to be Rob. And I thought going into this, I thought Natalie. I thought it's probably Natalie. Rob definitely goes for Natalie. Natalie goes for Rob. I didn't find the round table to be that entertaining. I didn't take a whole lot of notes on it, if you want me to be honest. It was just a regular round table. The end game is not entertaining to me. I was hoping that things would get spicier, but they're not. And I'm hoping the last episode is entertaining. Probably not. It's typically not. They typically do that stupid airplane thing that nobody really cares about. But yeah. So, Rob does ultimately use his dagger. That was weird. So, like, for it to be so freaking dramatic, like the dagger and the thing, like the sorcerers, like the, like the thing at Disney World where you had to try to like lift it, like for it to be in there, that is just so crazy to me that like Alan just walked over and pulls it out and hands it to him. I expected Rob to have to go over there and like tug a little. I expected it to be a ceremony of some kind, but no. And then he just puts it in his pocket uh of his overalls. Or not the pocket, like the little loop of his overalls. Anyways, weird. So Natalie votes for Tara, but everyone else votes for Natalie. And then Rob also has his 2 votes. Like I said before, they could have at least tied this up. I don't know why they didn't try. I blame Tara and Johnny. I guess I'm assuming we'll probably know more about this once they do more exit press, but like I'm assuming Tara and Johnny just were just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like we might as well just go ahead and vote for Natalie and we'll go for Rob another time. I guess that's what they thought. It felt to me like no one genuinely believed that Natalie was actually a traitor, that they were just doing this to do it. Mark Ballas, you could tell, like, once this happened, he knew, he was like, fuck, I genuinely have no one now. I genuinely have no one because he knows Mark is smart and he knows that Rob has Mara no matter what. No matter what, at least. Mark's only glimpse of hope was Natalie. Was Natalie. He had Kristen. Natalie had no one. Mark had no one. That was his only glimpse of hope. So I think that that is the upset that we see in him, and that's why we see that moment. So Tara gives up. She says, "I don't think she's really giving up." BFFR, Tara. It's the last up. Like you got one episode left, girlfriend. You're not giving up. Even if you are, Johnny's not gonna let you leave. But she says it. She has this dramatic moment, and everyone's like, "Girl, stop crying." I get it. Like Amara of all people is like, "Girl, stop crying," and I was like, "Good for you, Mara. I love that." Um, now turret. This is where things get spicy. Finally, so Alan comes in and talks to them. Oh, before Alan comes in, actually, Eric. Rob kind of confronts him. He's like, "Bro, you got to say something at these round tables." Eric's like, "I didn't know if saying something was." I think Eric's scared of shit. He's not gonna say anything at all. He's not gonna say anything at all, and he'll go not saying anything, like, honestly. Um, I'm yeah, I would like to say I'm disappointed in him, but I'm not because, like, he's bad at this, and he always was bad at this, and yeah. So, then Alan comes in, and he joins them, and he tells them that the last murder is going to happen tonight, right now. So decide something, and then I'm going to wake everybody up. And then in front of everybody, I'm going to do the murder. So y'all are going to have to put on your acting faces. And Rob's like, ooh, that sucks. So they talk about the options. They talk about Johnny to split up the duo. Valid. I think that you need to do it. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't do the split up the duo. Tara, because she would be a smoke screen. I don't know. Either way, I don't care. Johnny or Tara, it's six in one hand, half dozen in the other to me. Get one. Get one of them. Break it up. Mark, because he trusts. This doesn't make any sense to me. Mark, because he trusts Rob, but he won't get banished. Okay, let's think this through. I understand the perspective of murder somebody that trusts me, that wouldn't put sus on me. I get it. It's too late in the game for it. That would have worked earlier. Now you need some votes. So like do somebody else. Get somebody else to do it. Um the banishment for the or excuse me, the murder for the reason of not being banished makes sense, but also doesn't make sense because again, he trusts you. So when he gets to the turret, the fire ceremony, he's going to trust you. He's not gonna throw a rock up. He's not. Not for you. But they also mention that Mark brought up Eric's name. Rob tells Eric about this. And I'm like, bro, it's not the move. It's not the move. Because we don't know, in the edit, we don't know. But we don't know if Mark has told other people about why Kristen probably got murdered. We don't know. We don't know that yet. Risky. Too risky to me. The risk outweighs the reward for Rob, in my opinion, murdering Mark. If he murders Mark, that's a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Um, Mara. They talk about Mara because no one will ever expect that for Rob. This conversation is leading me to believe, so we don't ultimately see who it is, but this conversation leads me to believe that Rob is worried about himself, as you always should be in a game, but he is worried about keeping the sus off of him. I don't think that that's the way to go right now. In my opinion, the more important thing would be to break up Johnny or Tara because you will not be able to break them up at the fire ceremony. If you throw up your rock to go back to revote, they are just going to vote you out and walk away with the money. Makes no sense. There is nothing you're going to be able to do to get them out. And if you do a 2-2, like say it's you and Eric, Johnny and Tara, fine. That's great. But like, I don't know what happens. I think they just keep voting, to my knowledge. I don't know. So yeah, it's a public murder. There's a coffin in the middle of like a circle. Mara keeps saying that she thinks it's her. Um, Rob makes some weird comments that didn't seem to fit this situation to me. But ultimately they leave us on a cliffhanger, and that's it. That's all we know. That's all we know about the traitors. I don't know what's gonna happen anymore. I used to think that it was Rob's game to lose, but and I still think that, but like I just think he might actually lose now. Um, I think if he doesn't get out Johnny or Tara, I'll be disappointed, and I honestly like won't care. I don't care. I haven't cared in a while. If you haven't gotten that vibe from me, it's been really hard to care about these people. I don't think that statistically we have good faithfuls statistically, but also we have to add into that statistic that the gamers were all gone on like the first drop of episodes almost. Except with the exception of two floating ones, two floating around for a while. And like, I mean, Tiffany went out, what, episode 4, and then we had two, Natalie and Jam Jam floating around. Jam Jam, don't get me started. Natalie was smart, but she also plays with emotion quite a bit, and they genuinely believed her to be faithful. All I'm saying is, had Ian or Rob Sesternino been left, or both, preferably, been left in there for quite some time, that would have been nice. It would have been harder for our faithfuls to get somewhere. Um, oh, speaking of which, let me give you my little 411. So I don't know if you watched Davon Rogers did a live on TikTok yesterday. I think it was yesterday. And it might have been Friday. It was either Friday or Saturday. And she talked about different things. One of the things she talked about is, did you know that she was about to be on this season of the Traitors? Mhm. She was ready. Unfortunately, she had an emergency gallbladder surgery, causing her to, go into surgery. And then when she got out of surgery, and when I say she was about to go, like, it was confirmed. She had already read and signed the contract. She was just waiting, according to Davon's story, she was just waiting for the day to fly on the plane to go to the Traders, to go to Scotland. The surgery happened. She still had intentions of going. They sent a medic to her house. That medic had her doing all kinds of things, but then the last straw was that they wanted to see her incision, and it was still an open wound, and they ultimately said, "We are so sorry. We're not going to be able to let you continue." She was devastated. I would have been devastated. That really sucks. If anyone's wondering who might have been the replacement, my friend Nicolette on here, she was like, "Oh, it probably is Tiffany Mitchell." Because on the pod, and I kind of forgot about this, but yes, on the podcasts that they've been doing, Tiffany talks about how she was a late addition over on the Heavy Crown Network. She talks about she was late addition, so it probably was Tiffany. Davon also said that she was hoping that it was Tiffany, because that replaced her, because she hates the idea of thinking that she missed out on an opportunity to play with Tiffany. For Davon, I think that this is the best case scenario. Excuse me, it's not the best case scenario. I just think that, given the fact that the gamers went out early, I do think that it was good that Davon wasn't a part of that. I think Davon, people would have sussed her out. They would have sussed her out. We've seen her get slighted based on her being her so many times, and I think that would have really happened on with this cast. Um, and if somebody had watched The GOAT recently, they may definitely suss her out. But I do hope she gets another opportunity to play. I would love to see Miss Davon on there. That's like one of the people that I have been rooting for. So it was nice to find out that, like, she was given that chance. And I hope she's given that chance again. But those are my thoughts on the episode. Again, I'll hop in the comments on this one. I'm so sorry I didn't have a guest this week. It just fell through. It just didn't happen. But I will see you guys later. Bye.